Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Find a Moment podcast, where we navigate the space between ideals and everyday life. We are your hosts, Gretchen Roberts and Jennifer Ford, and we look forward to finding a moment with you today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Find a Moment podcast. I'm Gretchen Roberts, and I'm joined by my friend
Jennifer Ford.
And we are here to celebrate this first episode with you all today of Find a Moment, where we navigate the space between ideals and everyday life. And in this introductory podcast, we wanted to share a little bit about who we are, what we enjoy, a little bit of our stories and how we met. And we are just going to jump right in. So, Jennifer, would you like to share a little bit about who you are and kind of how we got to this point today?
Sure. My name is Jennifer Ford. I am born and raised here in little old Wilmington, North Carolina. And my husband is from Raleigh. We've been together since 2003, married since '06, and we have two girls. We are in the thick of raising teenagers. Our girls are 14 and 16. And I think we're finally at that stage where people say teens are so much fun. We're finally there. Um, some things about myself. Let's see. I'm a lover of the outside. I love gardening and working in the yard, and that's definitely one of the things I tend to go towards whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed or I just need to find a moment. I go outside. I enjoy reading. I don't read as much as I would like to. I tend to gravitate more towards podcasts and audiobooks. I love typically kind of like Gretchen, you gravitate towards nonfiction, and I do too. I think probably my most favorite book that I've read, probably in the last 10 years, is a book by Noah Charney, and it's called Stealing the Mystic Lamb. It's about the most stolen piece of art ever in the history of famous art. And so you'll have to, maybe one day we can do an episode talking about that a little bit more. But so anyway, I love books about mystery and history, but I like them to be true. And then let's see, one of my favorite podcasts. I tend to listen to a lot of news, probably more than I should. But of course, Sally Clarkson is her podcast, At Home with Sally, is probably the one I've listened to more than anything else. What else? What else do I need to share about myself?
Right. That's a great intro.
What about you?
So I also live in coastal North Carolina, not too far from where Jennifer lives. And I have 5 children, and we are about to launch our third off to college this fall. So we will have 3 that are either out of college or in college, and 2 still at home. And this year, I will have been married 26 years, which is kind of crazy to think that it has been 26 years.
That's amazing.
We enjoy hiking and camping and trail running and road running and just being outside. And the boys like to surf and rock climb. And so it's been fun to live near the beach so we can watch them surf. And I'm not a surfer, but I'd love to find a moment at the beach for sure. I like Jennifer, I love to read, and I think we share a lot of different things we're reading with each other. And I am definitely a nonfiction person. Um, I try to make myself read fiction. I do love reading aloud fiction with my children, though. Like, I love all the great stories and classic literature and reading that aloud to them. But there's just something about when I have time to read for myself, I just really gravitate towards nonfiction. I love reading things about health and wellness and faith and family and just kind of sociology, psychology, anthropology kind of things. And I'd love to learn from reading and be challenged from reading, but I am trying to force myself to read more nonfiction. So I've been trying to read some as they say, beach reads this summer. And I am finding that there are, some good stories out there for me to read, and I'm enjoying getting into a little bit more of fiction for myself. Um, I love to exercise, to run, to lift weights, and that kind of thing. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. What's your favorite or one of your favorite fiction reads so far?
Ooh,
It could be something from children's literature if it needs to be.
goodness. I love a lot of the classic literature. I
Mhm.
love The Secret Garden.
Oh,
Um, I did one at previous time years ago when I was challenging myself with reading more fiction. I had read like Pride and Prejudice a lot with my kids, but over the years, but I decided to read all of Jane Austen,
mm-hmm.
and I really liked Emma.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a really good one to read. So those are probably kind of some of my all-time favorites. I do love some kind of sweet fiction. Like early fiction for littler kids were the Millie Molly Mandy books. Like I
Oh,
just love
yes.
sweet friendship.
You gave one of those to Lucy, I think.
Yes, I love those. And then the Betsy Tacy series.
So good.
Absolutely love those. And then I like picture book stories and things like that. But I started this summer. Am reading one of the Emily Henry's new book. She's a more recent fiction author, and Reese Witherspoon was doing a summer book club, and so she was reading Great Big Beautiful Life. So I just finished that one, and it was definitely out of my comfort zone. Um, but it was a good story, and there was some depth to it too, and I enjoyed it. So I'm
That's awesome.
branching out.
I'm actually reading Pride and Prejudice right now for the first time, and I kind of did things in the wrong order. I watched the movie first,
Oh no.
and then I watched it again, and then I watched it again because it's about to go off of Netflix. And so now I'm reading the book. Carrie and the girls for Mother's Day actually got me the book at Barnes and Noble, and there's a lot of letter correspondence throughout the
Oh,
story.
neat.
And the book from Barnes and Noble has every time there's a letter, it has these beautiful letters that you pull out of this pocket that is in this beautiful handwritten script. So it's like you're reading the letters that the characters wrote and read as you are reading the story.
Oh, that is
It's so sweet.
so neat.
It's
I
really
love
beautiful.
it.
There's actually a Pride and Prejudice 2 coming, the movie coming out this later this year.
Oh, fun. We'll have to find a
Yeah.
moment at the theater together.
Get your big popcorn.
That's right. Oh, so fun. Well, we are so excited just to get to have this time with you and with each other. And I think one of the things that really kind of drew us together from the beginning was just that a lot of the things that are important to us are very similar.
Mm.
So, what are some things that are important to you?
I think for myself, it's just continuously looking for wisdom and
Mm,
for truth. And I have a really deep sense of conviction. And one of the things that has been really, um, I think, bonding in our friendship is that you are also a person of deep
mm,
conviction. And we talk about this later too, like a sense of, a sense of curiosity and wanting to just continue learning. And so I think for me, having a place where I can work through my convictions in a way that helps me separate where is my heart being critical and where am I really just longing for truth. And
mm,
so that's something that is super important to me. And I think in our world, whether it's church or education or government or healthcare or raising kids or whatever it is, there's always something that is calling us to exercise our convictions. And so wanting to do that well and do that in a way that honors the Lord and honors the people in my life. I have been grateful that that's something that's also important to you. And I have definitely worked through a lot of convictions.
yes.
Just so many of those conversations. I think that's
Mhm.
part of what kind of prompted us to start this too, is wanting to share where we land with a lot of that, and not even just where we land, but the process of working through those. Like there's value to that process too.
Yes.
But working through convictions and searching for truth are both super important to me.
Yes. And I think having someone who shares those those important things, and like you said, kind of going through that process really helps to refine kind of who
Mm,
you are
mm-hmm,
and what your ideals are,
mm,
and then being able to navigate the space, like we said, between ideals and everyday life, being able to navigate that with
mm-hmm,
someone who shares um, those same important things.
mm,
And as far as thinking about like what is important to us, I think that's one of the things that drew us together as friends is the things that are important to me are the things that are important to you. And
mm,
so I think for us to be able to discuss and process and kind of work through the things that are important to us and then kind of the disappointments that come with
mm,
having ideals that we feel like maybe we're failing at.
mm-hmm. Every
Um,
day.
so I feel like that's been one of the things that has really kind of tied our hearts together has been the things that are important to us. And um, I would say I'll see what you think, but I would say the things that are most important to us are definitely our families
Yeah.
and our faith. Um, and our health. I think that we, as friends and just in life and in this season of um, seasoned women.
As we age.
Yes, I think that sharing kind of our health and fitness journeys and kind of encouraging each other in that
Mm,
has been another shared important. Education has been important to both of us as far as raising our children, and we have both home educated for a lot of our years together. Um, so, is there anything you'd like to add as far as like, what is important to us and kind of what has drawn us together?
yeah, I think one of the things that we have in common for sure is we're both very curious,
Mm,
and we both enjoy the process of learning, and so there's always more questions, and I think part of what has made our friendship strengthened so much over the years is that we both ask questions and we both want to learn and listen. And even though you're, several years ahead of us as far as raising kids, launching kids, moving through high school, transitioning into college and adulthood, and that's been, I think, when our girls were younger and our friendship was new, that's one of the things that I really was looking to you for, was sort of an example. And you seemed really sturdy and focused, even though you were also at the same time very open about the fact that it's hard and you don't have all
right.
the answers. But you were continuing to just mine for truth, mine for wisdom, find a way to make tomorrow better. Um, I really admired that.
Mm,
And I saw that as something that I needed to develop more in myself so that I would not get burned out and so that I wouldn't give up my ideals. And then I think over the years, our relationship built more into a friendship where we started having more time together and started connecting more personally. And I think, now, especially over the last, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years, that friendship has had so much of our time together focused around what are the questions? What are the hard
mhm,
things? What does the Lord say about this? Um, how do we navigate disappointment well, because there will be disappointment, and so
mhm,
how do we do that in a way that honors the people in our lives, um, that honors the Lord's purpose, obviously, but in a way that doesn't go to waste in our lives, and in a way that doesn't allow our hearts to become bitter. So learning how to learn together as friends, and also just being really humble about the hard things um, that when things don't turn out the way that we had hoped, when the ideal isn't met or when it's not even close, just being able to be really honest and having somebody to walk with me through that, which is what you have been, to have somebody walk with me through those things in a way that still focuses on the future and is still very much grounded in hope. That has been,
mhm.
in a lot of ways, very formative, not just in my family, but in my marriage and in my walk with the Lord. And so I just look at at our friendship is something that's really centered around learning and humility and curiosity and wisdom and always seeking that out. And I think we tend to find that when we're together, our conversations include things that we feel a call to steward. I think that's why we're here. I think that's
Yes.
why we wanted to share this with others, because we do believe that every good thing is something that's worth sharing.
Oh, that's so true. So good. Um, so thinking about that, do you want to share a little bit of how we met and
Sure,
kind of how our friendship started?
sure. So our girls were, I don't know that I don't know that Amelia was yet 5. Maybe we had started. We were homeschooling. Amelia was in kindergarten. She was 5, and our younger one was, I guess, she was still 3. And a friend at church, Danielle, had said, "I've been going to this mom group, and I'm coming to pick you up, and you're going, and it's important."
Oh,
I'll never forget that she said, "It's that important."
wow.
And so she started bringing me to your mom heart group. And month after month, we would come and we would come. And then I started realizing, like, this isn't just something that I'm going to tag along with Danielle. Like, this is now my place too.
Hmm.
And so you opening your home and just having a place for us to share. You would read books, Sally Clarkson books. We would just do one chapter a month, and it made it very, very attainable for us to just keep coming. We didn't feel like, oh, I didn't do my homework. Oh, I'm not prepared. I can't go this week. And then the conversations that we would have afterwards, just other moms being just really humble about the hard things, and being willing to encourage about the things that, either were disappointing or were really worth celebrating. Um, just over the years, I just felt like this was a place where I was supposed to be, was in your home, coming to Mom Heart, at home, the homeschooling journey together. Then I joined the co-op where your family was, and just I felt like the Lord just continued to kind of bind us closer together through different parts of our lives. And our girls became friends with your kids, and very much just became sort of an extension of our family. We kind of talk at home now, even still, how your kids were like the additional siblings. Like,
Oh,
we didn't have a big family, but your kids kind of gave my kids the experience in some ways of being in a big family.
of having wild brothers.
Yes. They did not get brothers at home, so they got brothers at your house. Yes, it's true.
And it's
It's
so
true.
neat to think back to when I first started a Mom Heart group in my home. And back then, we went to church on Sunday evening, I believe.
Mm,
That's when that was that season that we were at the Sunday night church. And Danielle and her husband always sat in front of us. And I knew they had little children, and I felt like, oh, I need to invite her to Mom Heart, but I don't even really know her. And I just see her, sitting in front of me every, week at church. And so I introduced myself and we, talked a little bit. And so I finally just said, I just have to invite her. This is silly. So I invited her, and just taking kind of that nudge and that initiation, um, like to initiate that step, was not something that I did a lot and that I felt confident in doing. Um, and it's so neat now to see kind of the fruit of just one little step of obedience, or following kind of that one little nudge that you
Mhm.
had, and then to see um, my friendship with Danielle and her family, and with you and with all the moms that were there, and just to see how it what can grow from just one little step.
Mhm.
um, so back then, we kind of had to find our moments
Mm.
in our Mom Heart group. And we would, like you say, we would read our chapter and we would talk for hours just about all the challenges of motherhood. And I mean, we were all in the thick of it most of us had kids that were all preteens. So in the baby to 10, 11, 12 age range. And I mean, those are really physically, emotionally, mentally exhausting years, but
Yes.
such rich years and so much fun to have your whole crew together all the time. And So that's really how we would find a moment back then, was to just have it on the calendar. It was late at night, so everybody was in bed and we could just talk. And now that we've gotten older and our children have gotten older, we've found other times to connect, whether it's when our children were in a class and we would take the hour that they were in class together or at the same location, and to go grab a cup of coffee and discuss all the things that mattered to us. And like you said, being curious and asking the questions. And we ask each other a lot of hard questions a lot. And, even though a lot of the things that are important to both of us are the same, we still are very different. And it's not like we agree on everything. And so it's been good to challenge each other and to think through those things together. Um, so through the years, as we have shared those moments together and realized, wow, I want to come back to this conversation and remember the things that you said to me. And so as we've talked about things, I think it's been over a year that we've discussed starting a podcast. And maybe it'll just be for us so we can hear our conversations and remember what we said to each other.
Maybe it will.
But like you said, we want to share with others, just the things that God has shown us, the things that our friendship has sharpened in each of us, and all those conversations, the things that have been brought forth through that, and the growth and the change, and to be able to share that with others, and then hopefully to inspire anyone listening to find ways to find a moment with people in your own life, with the things that matter to you. Um, so do you have anything to add, Jennifer, as far as like kind of our heart behind the podcast and what we wanted to be able to share through this journey?
So I think the last thing that I'll just say, the word testimony just comes to mind, and just thinking about how powerful it is when you hear someone's testimony. And we will not be sitting here every episode giving the testimony of our lives, like telling our entire life story. We'll just be sharing bits and pieces of what the Lord is doing. I think that's part of what I hope too, is that this will cause people to be more introspective and to reflect on what the Lord is doing in their lives, and that listeners will also find a moment to share that with someone
Mm,
else, to
so good.
encourage someone else with their story, to encourage somebody else with how they made it through a hard season, or how they were able to stay focused and see something through to victory. Both of those things are hard. I feel like I focus a lot on like the hard things, but I have to remember too, like we have shared so much celebration together. There's
Yes.
so many victories, and sometimes those victories are, they only last a moment, but those
Yes.
things matter. And so cultivating a vision for your life that looks for the good, when sometimes it can be very, especially when you're raising kids and your kids are home a lot, or whatever your family is navigating, it can be really easy to kind of feel focused, so heavily focused on the hard things, because a lot of your mental energy and sometimes physical energy is invested in trying to work through that and move things to a better place. Um, but I have to be careful even for myself, that I'm not just focusing on the hard things. We've definitely shared a lot of victories and celebrations.
Yes.
Um, like even this morning when I come over, I'm like, we got a driver's license in our house.
Yay.
First teen who's driving. So like that's a celebration. Um, but I think just inspiring listeners to consider the good things, the hard things, the way that the Lord is working in their lives, and what matters, like what we need to be sharing with others. And it
Yes.
doesn't take a 2 hour a 2 hour coffee date for that to happen. Sometimes it's just a text. Sometimes it's just a quick phone call. Hey, I've got 10 minutes. But being intentional about finding a moment, find the good things, find somebody who needs to be encouraged, and find a moment um, to connect.
I love it. And I love that this will hopefully help us to continue finding our moments together and sharing those with everyone. And the subtitle that we landed on with our podcast is navigating this space between ideals and everyday life. And I think you've summed that up so well because there is a lot of disappointment in that space of having ideals and then the reality of everyday life. And I think in our social media saturated world that we can see all of the ideals, and it's not bad to have ideals, but we can see everyone's beautiful ideals, what we think is lived out perfectly. And so we can get stuck in that place of disappointment. Um, and even to the point of kind of it's all or nothing. Well, I can't meet this ideal, so just throw in the hat kind of thing. Um, but there is such beauty in that place of navigating the everyday life and the ideals and holding fast to those ideals, and not relinquishing those. And I think that that is one of the things that just has really impacted me with my friendship with you is that you have really encouraged me to hold on to my ideals and to keep refining my ideals and to keep thinking about what that would look like as and also as a great like this relationship to fall back on when those ideals when you feel like you fail. And I think as women and as moms, it's it's easy to feel like we fail um, in something every day
So
and
true.
to not see that as failure, but you're living in that space. And so our hope is that we can help you as we have helped ourselves and continue to help ourselves just to navigate that space between our ideals and everyday life, that we can be real with each other, like you said, with humility and with just a curiosity to learn and not to put forth something that's well polished and perfect, um, because we are all just
Mm.
diamonds in the rough. So, but to put forth something that is real and that is that space of everyday life and navigating that together with someone who we have just developed this deep connection and friendship and trust with one another.
Mm.
So, yeah, I hope that others will feel inspired, like you said, just to find a moment to share those things with others. So we kind of want to close today and just want you to think about what is important to you. What are areas that you may need to take a step in, whether it's initiating a friendship, like inviting someone to coffee or
Mm.
to a mom group or to a Bible study or to go on a walk together. um, who in your life do you need to find a moment to connect with? And maybe it's one of your children or a friend or your spouse. We just want to encourage you in these coming days to think and pray about that of what moment you need to find.
I love that.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to sharing this journey with you.
As we close each episode, we'll have a couple minutes of music to provide an opportunity for you to breathe, consider what you've heard, and maybe ask the Lord what it looks like for you to find a moment with someone who matters in your life. And we thank you for listening. This is your moment.